Hello, in this video I will be showing how I rebuilt this Edelbrock carb and the problems I had. So let's dig in and see what all happened. So this is a 1406 if I see it right, with a manual choke. I got it off an old body style truck that I used to get the intake manifold, distributor and some other parts. So yeah, sometimes it's cheaper buying a whole truck and getting your parts off you need, and you still end up with other items you later can use. I will be covering what I did to the carb and what problems I ran through. I bought a eBay kit, which I don't think I will do it again. I think now I know it was a cheap eBay kit because I'm not happy, and maybe I get some response if others had the same problem. Also, this is now my setup. I think I showed it before. I used an original TBI bracket, changed it that it fits with my spacer, so I had to extend it, and just welded the original throttle body linkage to it. So all my angles for the transmission valve body and for my throttle, it's all stock S10 now. Added these springs, have to see how that feels later. And yeah, so one of the big problems I had, well, several of the problems, is like it started off with, which I will show extra, I didn't like how the needles again, I didn't like how the needle valves were sitting. I also felt like they are not sealing right, at least from what I used from other carbs. Yeah, it's not fuel, I know, I'm just blowing through them, but I'm used that it should seat good enough that it's airtight, and these weren't. So I went back to the old needles. It then went over to that adjusting the floats. Came out to that the needles are also shorter than what was in the original, so that brought me back to putting old needles in. Same with the gasket for the top cover. It wasn't cut out right, that it fit with the baffles. And then I covered it. The gasket for the squirter jets didn't fit. And what I forgot in the other to mention, from the accelerator pump, that hole is way too small for an original pin, so it has to be either drilled up, or I used the same plunger, just change the seals. Oh yeah, I hope it's covering it. Like I said, you don't want to run into these problems if you buy the kit, so next time it saves you more time and money buying the right kit. But this is a learning experience. I still need to do first the wiring so that we can run it. I got all the plumbing mostly in, got the overflow in, got my purge canister, or my charcoal canister for the tank vent in. Mounted it here in the back. Yes. So I want to run it before I work on the wood, so I can see if there's any leaks. But this is where I am with this. So again, next time I will order a different kit. I think I have to take it apart again, because as it shows in the video, this carb was really dirty, or better, it has seen water, which doesn't fit with the story of how I bought the truck, but it is what it is. But I want to at least see if we can get it running like this. So I don't think this will be in this episode, because I want to do the wiring harness, how I do that, a separate one, because that will be a little longer. And then we go to first start and see how the car performs, maybe show a little There's not much to adjust, but will be like high idle, cold, and then fuel, and see how the accelerator, man, it's a long day, the accelerator pump works. So that's about it on this one. So I had it soaked in before. Now that I know how it looked inside, I'm happy that I even did it. I don't know what it is, what it would have turned into if I wouldn't have done. It's still showing a little signs, but I think this is good enough now for running, because I scraped and cleaned and soaked it in cleaner. This is where it is right now. The only things that I'm maybe not cutting out of the video, I bought a cheap, I think it wasn't cheap, but now I think it's a cheap kit off eBay, a rebuild kit, which I thought was the original kit. But I had problems with the floats. I really started already with the seats for the needle, and I have to say, I don't know if I can do it with one hand, but I mean, this is my first Edelbrock. I have done Strombergs, I have done quadrajets, and all kinds of other Webers, which is kind of like, I guess, the other side. Man, I can't do it one hand. Let me figure it out here. Otherwise, oops, sorry. So I already don't like how much play there was for the needle in the seat. The thread really didn't go straight in, which I thought first is maybe a problem of the carb being that corroded. So finally I gave in. I put the old seats back in, and I know this is not the real procedure, but I always like, since you do what you got, if you blow on this intake port where the fuel goes in and the floats are sitting, the weight of the floats is sitting on the needle, it should be tight. It should not let air through. Only when the floats give the needle free, then you should have flow. So on the new set, I always had a leak, which drove me crazy, and so I went back, cleaned up the old ones, put them in, and they are nice. No leaks there, and also the floats I tried, I think it shows a little. I didn't like how much I had to bend the float, so the height of the needles was totally different, which I also don't like. So I'm now back to the old seats. This is for running it. Let's see what it does. I don't think it will flood because it looks good, but I guess I need a second rebuild kit, and this time I will watch what the brand is. I really didn't like it. Same on this gasket here. The original one has a way smaller print, so had to even cut a little to make it work. So yeah, there is a lot of things I don't like. So to get it running, okay. Otherwise, I think there is not much to it. I think it shows in the video. If you lay it out how you take it apart, and you even have the camera running, if you can't put it back together, I don't know what else to tell you. On these, this is not a quadrajet or not a Stromberg, so there's not much to it. The only watch out that you don't lose the check ball for the accelerator pump, and there's on this one was even a weight on it. Sometimes it's a spring. So this is basically only to keep when the pump goes back up and fills the chamber, that the fuel stays all the way to the squirters and doesn't drain back. That's all it is. It's a check valve. Just if the bowl fills again, it doesn't suck it back out. So you need that, because when you accelerate, you want right away that fuel goes in. Otherwise it will bog down. You will have a lean, I call it a hole. You will feel it's bogging down if you open the throttle fast, because it doesn't get the extra fuel. You have an enrichment on the secondaries that will give you some for the middle, but the moment you step on the throttle, if it bogs down, that's mostly your accelerator pump. So yeah, like I said, this maybe explains a little my issue with the floats. I also don't understand the Edelbrock thing with their 7/16. Okay, I did that. I did the 1 inch, how they hang down. For me, I will see how it runs. For me, normally I always go by float level for the fuel. So normally I'm used to that. I measure when it's turning off or closing the needles. So I don't know, maybe I'm thinking wrong, but for me it's like if the angle here is not right on the floats, it still doesn't tell me exactly how much fuel I have in the bowl. But we will see. I think these are not that critical on the adjustments. It's a pretty simple carb, so there is no crazy fine tuning. So let's see how aggressive it is on this. Maybe I'm wrong and I have lots of problems. So I will cover a little more how I put it together, and then the bad thing is we need to do first the wiring harness before I can show if this runs or not. I still will already order another rebuild kit, because I feel like once it ran a little, maybe this soaks a little more and more comes off the walls if I put it on carb cleaner again. But for now I think this is good enough to run it. Okay, let's keep going. So, thank you for watching. I hope I get some response on what kits are you using to rebuild these carbs, or did you have the same problems? Otherwise, I think next episode will be the wiring harness. If you don't like details, you don't need to watch it, because I will go in some details how I wire these trucks. And then after that, finally, I hope we will have the first, will it start and will it run, and see if everything is right on this truck. So thank you for watching, and see you on the next one.